Good evening, it's Robert Sidell. Welcome to the Gateway Show, live on the number one talk station in Las Vegas every Sunday evening from 6 to 7 p.m. And it's a great opportunity to be here and a great pleasure for me to be here with you tonight. I just was in California for several days and just got back just a little bit ago so I could do this show. And so I'm thrilled to have that opportunity to be here already to share with you. I'm excited about the message tonight because it's an opportunity for each of us to take another step in our lives, a step to a higher place in your reality. Isn't that isn't that really what we want? Aren't you ready to step into a magical, infinite, divine reality? Isn't that really something that we each are craving in our hearts, where life turns into a glorious adventure of joy and love? Well, that's what I want to focus on tonight. So if that sounds good to you, you're listening to the right place right now. The idea that this world, this very life that you are in right now, can turn into a glorious journey of love, joy, happiness, adventures, better than the best movie you've ever seen. Think about that. What would that mean? What would it be like if your life became better than the best movie you've ever seen? On some level, maybe that's what our life is. We're creating a movie somehow, some way. We're weaving it through our own destinies, our own creations, our own choices, the opportunities that have come to us, and then how we take advantage of those opportunities, what we do with them. So that's what this show is all about, is opening ourselves to the possibility that there's infinitely more possibility and opportunity than we normally think. And that's what I want you to open yourself to a little bit right now. There's infinitely more possibility around you right now than you would ever imagine, waiting for you to open your eyes to it. So it's a pleasure to be here, and that's the topic tonight about what if we could encounter a new beginning, a new adventure, a new life? What if you could begin, hey, Marianne, good to see you. Open, open, open. I like that. By the way, that's what we've got to be. Open to that new possibility, new joy, new love. Let me elaborate a little bit more. I This has been in my life journey really, but it just gets clearer and stronger in my life. I if you look over just say the last century roughly, from the year 1900 to the year 2000, that's all you have to do, just look at that 100 years, which is basically very close to what my dad's life was. The We made more advancement scientifically in the human race than all of the centuries before that. So in the thousands of years before, in 100 years, that one century, that 100 years, we made more progress scientifically, technologically than we ever have in human history in one short century. And now, I'll take it a step further. Now, since the year 2000 until right now, I would say that we've made as much progress in these 20 years as we made in the full century before. So the rate of evolution and advancement is dramatically accelerating. Now, with all that possibility, still doesn't mean we have mastered the opportunity of what life can be. And so, and that's why we still have a lot of problems and challenges in the world. So, what we have to be willing to open ourselves to, and I invite each one of you to open right now. I said, where two or more are gathered, there also is the presence of God. We have to be willing to open ourselves to the idea that we can make an advancement spiritually in a short period of time, just like we have done technologically. So we don't have to wait another 1,000 years. A lot of people will say, well, the only way the world's ever going to be better is going to take thousands of years. And usually most steps forward do not happen like that. Excuse me. Usually they happen very quickly. Suddenly there'll be a breakthrough, a new insight, something we've been struggling with in our own life. Think about your own life. And then suddenly you get a new insight. Oh, this is the answer. Suddenly you got that iPhone, right? Here's a picture of this is my iPhone right here. Well, this iPhone, actually, that was an insight of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs. And he said something very simple. I watched the video, I've seen it several times. Around 2002 or 3, he says, what if you as a human being could create a tool for people that changed the ability and the way in which people live in the world? And guess what? That's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did with the iPhone. And I was out of town and I was looking around. I was talking to my kids. They said, look around this restaurant. We were sitting in a little restaurant. Every table, there's phones out. People are all looking at their phones. Whatever he came up with, it changed the world. Now, Like most changes, it has some pluses and some negatives, but it mostly creates a lot of opportunity. And then what we do with that opportunity is up to us. It's always that way, isn't it? New opportunities open up doorways, but then it's up to us how we use them. So what I'm going to suggest to you is, so there's been this huge evolution in technology. Why don't we open ourselves to a huge step forward spiritually, where we can begin to see this life in a whole new way? Instead of seeing it as a burdensome, struggling, painful experience, which sometimes you hear in the media and lots of other places, or sometimes we experience in our own life. I've had that experience before in my life for periods of time. Instead, what if you could say, this life is a supreme gift, and it's an opportunity to know joy and peace and love and adventure and romance and excitement and all these good things better than you could ever dream of. That's a whole new vision of what life could be, isn't it? It's not one that is commonly spoken of. And see, we human beings, we become kind of addicted to our stories. And our media goes right along with that addiction. It pumps out. I was listening, it doesn't even matter what station, makes no difference. It wasn't this station, however. I was listening to a radio station the other night, and just one negative story after another. And I thought, yeah, this particular station is always like that. They see that as their duty to constantly dish out a lot of negative news, or at least news I regard as negative. The point I'm getting at is that things are very predictable, and we can become addicted to this negative pattern, a negative, over and over. But what if you changed the pattern of your life? What if you decided to see your life in an entirely new way? What if you had the courage? It takes great, great courage to do this. It's not necessarily hard, but it takes courage. What if you had the courage to see your life in an entirely new way? And that's my invitation to each of you tonight, to be willing to use your life like a blank check. You've been given a blank check of infinite consciousness. All the great teachers, including Jesus of Nazareth, said that we can do great, great things. Mark 11:22 through 25. You can do greater things than I can do, whatsoever you ask for. If you will believe of it, not doubt, and forgive everyone you have a judgment against, you could make a mountain move to the sea. The point I'm getting at is that Jesus, as well as many others, have said we have great potential. Albert Einstein said that we only utilize a small percentage of our brain. So what are we utilizing and taking in this gift called life on earth? And how far are we taking it? And how far are you willing to take it in your life? What greater dreams could you come up with in your life to make your life more fulfilling? So I'm going to put on a little bit of music now. Hold on. And I'm going to do a relaxation exercise to just get rid of some of the stresses in our mind and our spirit. So wherever you are right now, if you're driving in the car, keep those eyes wide open and pay attention. And wherever you are at home, just relax. And let all the stresses you've been carrying, what's going to happen in the world, what's going to happen in your life, what's going to happen in any part of the world or your life that you're concerned about, what's going to happen with your health, how are you going to feel, how are your loved ones going to feel, how are your children going to do? We can think about all these things, can't we? But tonight I invite you to release those things right now to the infinite and eternal spirit of love of God. Tonight I invite you to open yourself to a new story being written in your soul. A new story. Completely new. You know, it's interesting. Jesus, what did he say, my friends? Except a man be born again, he cannot know the kingdom of God. If you step back and think about it, what else could it be? To see reality in a whole new way, to experience it completely newly, requires giving up the old perceptions of reality, the old paradigms of existence. So tonight I invite you to open yourself to a new paradigm of reality. Like Jesus would say, it's so different, it's like being born again. Being born again to an entirely new possibility of life. Would you be willing to let God write that new possibility in you? Imagine for a moment that you're kind of like an advanced computer, because your brain is kind of like that. Well, how would you get advancements in your mind unless you got new programming? Hey, C, nice to see you. I want you to think about something. I got a car about 4 years ago, and it has some self-driving built into it. And I get software updates about once every 2 months. That car can do way more than when I got it. Hey, Jonelle. Hey, it's good to see you, Jonelle, out there. So here I have a car that I bought 4 years ago. Nothing physically has changed on the car, but the software has been changed. And the software now lets me do different things. It's much safer, it's more secure, it works better. The very same car, upgraded software. And what's the software being upgraded on? The same computer. It's not a changed computer. So I want to think about something. You've got a brain, like my car is a computer. What if your software was upgraded in your mind? What if a new possibility was given to you? The same brain, but new consciousness. Wouldn't you be like my car? Wouldn't you be, of course, infinitely greater than my car? Wouldn't you be able to create new possibilities in your life? That's the whole purpose of this show. That's what I've been working on in my life for years. Decades, actually. Changing the programming, up-leveling the possibilities. And for me personally, most of the time it's worked really well. A few times I've had some bugs that had to be ironed out. But mostly it's worked really well. So I invite you tonight to open yourself, to be reprogrammed or get rid of old bugs, old problems, old bugs in the software that are stopping you from living the happiest, most glorious life on this earth. But not reprogramming for me. Let the infinite Spirit of God lift you to new possibilities. Would you be willing to have that happen? I mean, you have to give permission. You have to get permission in your mind and soul and spirit. Hey, this is the Gateway Show, my friends. We're going to go to a break. For those of you on Facebook, I'll stay with you. By the way, for those that don't know on the radio, I'm simulcasting on Facebook right now, too. This is Robert Sidell, and the Gateway Show will be back in just a moment. So, my friends, imagine somebody could just flip a switch inside of your brain and your soul and your consciousness, and it would give you new vision. You could see new possibilities. I had something like that happen in my own life on a very physical level. About 3 years ago, I had cataracts removed and they put in new lenses in my eyes. Well, guess what? I don't need glasses anymore. I can see close up, I can see far away. All of that's possible because of the fact that an upgrade was made in the basic structure in which I live, my body. So I'm going to suggest to you it's the same with each of you. Your same body that you got right now can be upgraded spiritually, physically, and mentally. And physically, on every level. Hey Ernie, how you doing tonight? What would you be like? How will you be like in this new self that Jesus spoke of? Except a man be born again, he cannot know the kingdom of heaven. Would you be willing to know a kingdom of heaven even within you right now as you are? Would you be willing to know that? Would you be willing to discover something about yourself you never knew? Would you, if you found this button within you, it could activate new possibilities. In my car, I can turn on or off the self-driving mode. And that keeps getting upgraded. What if there's a button inside of you that you could turn on or off? Have you turned it on yet? Have you even found the button? How would you like to have supreme joy in your life? How would you like to wake up really looking forward to life, thinking the world's a wonderful place? And listen, there obviously are problems in the world. There always have been. If you know anything about human history, there always have been. But there's tools and opportunities for healing today that never existed before. Just like there's ways of driving my car that never existed before. We have the ability, you and I are communicating in real time. Somebody's saying, lovely winter night, spending time with all of you. C says that. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not, C. Oh, okay. And Debbie? Good. So, each of you makes a difference. And I want to challenge each of you to recognize that you have the potential to be something even greater than what you are now. And what you need can be delivered to you exactly when you need it. And the same true for me. Same for me. You can be opened up to a possibility of life that you never thought was possible. we're about to be back on the radio right now. Here we go. Back on the radio. Hey, Craig. Nice to see you on there. Oh. Hey, friends. It's Robert Sidell. You're listening to the Gateway Show on every Sunday night, 6 to 7 p.m. and live on the #1 talk station in Las Vegas. And it's a great, great pleasure to be here. And you know what? Every single week, I'm practicing what I preach. By that, I'm saying I'm always looking for new possibilities. I see my friend Craig's on there. Craig has a great mastermind, teaches a lot of great seminars. And I've met a lot of good friends through his Rockstar Mastermind group. And so, hello, Craig. And Andy wants to know, did I take my family to Disneyland this weekend? I did. I went to Disneyland this weekend. And you know what? Walt Disney, even in my book, I have a chapter on Walt Disney. He's one of my heroes. He's really a hero of mine. Matter of fact, I think I'll post it afterwards. I got a photograph last night. There's a building called Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. Some of you might have seen that before. In the front of that building, at the front of Disneyland, there's a little section talking about Walt Disney, and there's actually a park bench sitting there, an actual physical park bench. And it says that park bench is where Walt Disney was sitting one day when he came up with the idea of Disneyland. He was sitting there playing with his kids, and he thought, wouldn't it be nice if there's somewhere you could take your family and have a happy time in a nice, wholesome environment? On that bench, the idea for Disneyland was born in his mind. It was never in existence before that. There was no other place like Disneyland in the world. And to be honest with you, I don't think there really is today anyway. There just isn't. And so, in that one place, an idea came, which he then followed up with action, that now has caused hundreds, actually millions of people to have a lot of happiness and joy. They have a little sign there, and it talks about it being the happiest place on earth. And you know what? When you're there, it feels like that a lot of the time. It's just kind of a spirit there. And you know, it's fun. What I find fun about it is that the employees, I ask lots of employees, how do they like it there? And they all like it. I'm sure there's some that don't, but the majority of them do. And sometimes they could be doing very simple jobs. I was talking to a lady who was sweeping up, miscellaneous litter that was on the ground. She had one of those metal receptacles to sweep it into. And I went over to her, and she says, well, are you enjoying your journey on this planet? I'm thinking, boy, she's talking about me being on a planet? I was wondering what she was talking about. So turns out this was in the Star Wars section, so they're supposed to be in another planet. So what do you think about this for a minute? She, in her mind, was on another planet in the Star Wars universe. So I said, wow, and she explained what she was talking about to me. And I said, do you like the show? Oh, I love it. I'm on the way to work. I can hardly, so exciting and so much fun. I was thinking, wait a minute, how did it, this is a miracle Disney did it. And then you think about this, if you could do it in your life, you could change your whole life. How did he take a job that, in most places, people would just say they're just doing janitorial services. Not that they're not great, but the average person probably doing those kind of services may not think of themselves that way. It actually is always an important job, wherever it happens. But this woman, somehow, because he created an environment where she could be something different, and she took the same job, but suddenly it was fun. It was an adventure for her. She was excited. And so I've asked person after person there at Disneyland what they feel, and 9 out of 10 of them really think it's a lot of fun and really, really like it. So somehow this guy, Walt Disney, created a space where people have a lot of fun. As a matter of fact, another thing I've noticed is there's little hotels right across the street. Some of them are pretty old, actually. But because they're right across from Disney, they're always booked. So they got themselves a gold mine, those places. Matter of fact, I'll interrupt myself, not really interrupt myself, but there's McDonald's across the street from Disneyland. I think it's got to be one of the most highest volume McDonald's in the world. Every time I go in there, I'm looking at this thing, and it looks like the super advanced technology. I mean, they can be swarmed with like hundreds of people, and they're just pumping out the food so fast. I was telling my kids, I said, if any part of our country, our government, or anything else ran as well as that McDonald's, we wouldn't have any problems. I mean, they run that place like clockwork. It's amazing. And it's a predictable, Some people might like, some may not. My kids actually like it. Um, Food that you can count on. It's very well done, and so but all of those places, right there on that street, they're in this magical bubble of Disney. So even the people that work at those places think they're lucky. I've talked to the people who work at the front desks of those hotels. They think they're lucky. So somehow they're in that happiness bubble that Walt Disney created. And so my challenge for each of us is, why don't we create that everywhere in our lives? So I thought, here I am in Las Vegas. What could we create in Las Vegas for those of us that are here? You can do it wherever you are too. What can you create in your world right now? How could you create your world? The same job, this lady's sweeping up trash, but she's having fun on another planet and is loving it just because she changes her perception. What can you do in your life, whatever you happen to be doing, to change your perception and suddenly be living as the happiest place on earth? How can you do that? So I've been thinking to myself, and this is not a new vision. Some of you heard me talk about it before. I like to see Las Vegas as a city of light, a place where let's hold a vision in our minds of Las Vegas being a place where people come and they feel joy in the air. There's like a joy in the air, kind of like there's at Disneyland. And people like to see all the lights everywhere. When I landed on the airplane tonight, just seeing this city, it's a magical city. And believe me, this could be done in any city, but I'm just talking about Vegas right now. So what if we as a city, maybe we're already doing it saw ourselves as a magical place? It's funny, last week I went to the Cowboy Gift Show, which is part of the National Finals Rodeo. For a week, Las Vegas, for those of you who've never been here before, during that time period, Vegas suddenly becomes the Old West. A bunch of John Waynes walking around. Everybody's got cowboy hats on and blue jeans, and there's every horse thing. There's every Western jewelry and Indian jewelry and Western furniture, everything you could ever imagine, every kind of food, every kind of Western food, everything you could ever imagine. It's this huge show, and it's just on the side of the Finals Rodeo, which is a beautiful thing to see itself. So, but here you have Vegas, and suddenly for a week, it's the Old West. A week earlier, it was the Grand Prix. Suddenly we're an exciting race place. So there's all sorts of possibilities. Oh, Craig's saying, you love Disneyland, eh? I want to be the guy sitting on the porch with his dog at the beginning of the Pirates of the Caribbean. Actually, it's funny, Craig. There is a guy that sits on, you might know this, but it's certainly not. There's on Main Street in Disneyland, there's a little place, there's not too many places like this, where there's a patio and in front of one of those storefronts, and there's a couple benches and about 2 or 3 rocking chairs. And you can look this up. There's some guy that literally made it his goal, going back about 20 years ago, to come every single morning to Disneyland and drink his coffee sitting on that bench. And so I've actually visited with him and talked with him, and he's actually kind of well known now. You can actually look him up, the guy that has coffee every morning at Disneyland. And so, Craig, you could go sit there, and there's a lot of times other people, empty seats. I saw it today when I went by. You could sit there and have your cup of coffee. And yeah, you should do it sometime, Craig. You tell me sometime. I'll meet you down there, and I will sit on that. We'll sit there together, Craig. But so, why does that guy want to go to Disneyland? That's my question for him. What is it about Disneyland where that guy likes it? So he's just made this choice. Why does he like it? Because it's the happiest place on earth. So what you and I have the ability to do is let's hold. We'll have a whole group of us. We'll go down there, and we might just do that sometime. Maybe we should do that. That'd actually be kind of fun. Actually, I probably should think about that. So we've been going down there more frequently this year for our family. We've turned it into a family event. I think there were 8 or 9 or 10 of us there. Actually, I think there was more than that. There was like 10 or 11 of us there in my family, an extended family. And, we all should go different places and then get together, go different places and eat different places. It's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And everybody has a good time. And it's also a lot of good family interaction too, where you just get a chance to uplift everybody. And so you don't have to go to Disneyland to do any of that. But nonetheless, it's an easy place to do something like that. And if you live in California, you can get an inexpensive pass. It doesn't even cost that much. If you don't live in California, it's a little bit more expensive. And you can then go as often as you want, basically. But so the real point I'm getting at, I want to come back to why I'm bringing up Disney. He created this space all by sitting in that park bench and took action. And so, and we actually went and left that little bubble to went to a restaurant. Me and two or three of my kids. It was maybe 5 miles away or something. And my kids were commenting. They said, "Look, Dad, it's not really the same as it is right around Disneyland. It wasn't bad, but there wasn't quite the same bubble." And it made me realize, again, the magic that he created. When you went to these other places, it's more like being in any town in a suburban area. But in this bubble around Disneyland, it's magic. So what I'm saying to you, and the reason why I keep talking about it, is we can create that magic anywhere. That's built into us as human beings. We can create that magic right here in Las Vegas. So that we could see this city as a magical city of light that people come to from all over the world to be rejuvenated, which is kind of what they do anyway. They may come for some other purposes too, but the bottom line is people come here to get a little wild and let go. And Vegas is a good place for that. If you're ever flying on a plane here, people are usually in a good mood because they're about to come to Vegas, and which I was doing tonight, flying here. But so, and by the way, for those of you in Vegas, one of the fun little things we discovered is you can fly down to John Wayne Airport now that there's Frontier and Spirit for really cheap. If you're willing to plan a little bit in advance, you can sometimes do the round trip for like $50 or $60 round trip. So you could go down to the beach if you want, or you can just go to Disneyland, whatever. It's so quick and easy. Never used to be like that. So there's new possibilities all the time, and I want you to open yourself to the idea that we live in a magical world, but we got to bring the magic. We've got to find the magic. And let's not wait to the end of our life and say, wow, this was a magical journey. I wish I'd enjoyed it. No, I don't want to do that. I want to get as much joy and as much love and as much grace. I want to get my money's worth out of this trip. This is Robert Sidell. You're listening to the Gateway Show. I'm going to go to a break right now, and it's on 6 to 7 p.m. on the number one talk station, also simulcasting on Facebook, and I'll stay with you on Facebook right now. So my friends, here Walt Disney sits on a park bench one day, gets an idea. And by the way, this idea of creating Disneyland, which is just his name, it could be Duswalt Land, it could be any of the people, it could be Lanudi Land, some of the people listening right now. It could be Hangarter Land. I don't know. That might not sound so good. No, I'm just teasing. But the point is, it could be any of these things. But he had a dream, but he did take action. And that's what each one of us have to do. We have to take action in the direction of our dreams. We have to take action in the direction of our dreams. And wherever we are, let's bring the magic into it. Let's bring the magic into our lives. Let's bring the magic. So we see the romance of our own marriage. I mean, our own family. The magic of being alive, the gift of life. It's one of the things, by the way, I like at Disneyland. I see all sorts of families all the time. And it's a lot of fun to see people interacting with each other, and see young kids, young boys and girls suddenly, the flush of new romances, and you see people that are older and having a good time, and most people are quite friendly and open, and so that's the world you and I live in. Believe, right, Marianne? Believe. That's what. We've got to bring it. See, Marianne, just like Walt Disney sitting on that bench, following his dreams into action. By the way, I want to say one thing about that. He had that dream, but for those of you, some of you may know this, some may not. But actually, a lot of people thought, well, Disneyland will go out of business within 6 months because it was very expensive and nobody had ever done anything like it before. Before that, amusement parks were sort of like places that were sort of seedy on the side of a river or something. It was like you didn't know for sure if you wanted your family to go there. It was like you were these sort of suspect characters. You had the tattooed people and all these different unusual people, circus people. And it had sort of a shady characteristic to it. Some people thought it was very romantic, but nonetheless, it was like that. What he created, Disneyland, he did something completely different. A safe, wholesome environment where you could come and have a good time in a clean, safe, nice environment where you could just come and enjoy, and lots of restaurants and lots of fun things to see. And by the way, now there's the California Adventure, which is a lot of fun too. And it happens to remind me a lot of my upbringing, so I love it also. Um, just it's a lot of fun. That's right. It's right there next to Disneyland. So if you have a pass, you can go to both places. So, so my friends, what's that magic? How are we going to find that magic in our lives? That's what I'm talking about tonight. Creating magic. Creating magic in our lives. That's really what I'm talking about. And I believe that's what God wants for us. You know, we live in a miraculous world. I'm about to go back on the radio, but that's what we've got to remember. And part of the miracle is we get to create joy and love and peace and happiness, and not let life pass you by. Back on the radio. Good evening, my friends. It's the Gateway Show on every Sunday night from 6 to 7 p.m. live and broadcasting on the number one talk station in Las Vegas. And it's a great pleasure to be here with you. My friend was asking, I just had a fun weekend down at Disneyland. Flew down there on Spirit Airlines, so it's very inexpensive, and went with my family. And these are things that you don't have to go to Disneyland. You can create joy wherever you are. But we happened to do that, so I had a lot of chance to think about how we create joy in our lives, and how did Disney create that magical space, and how can you and I create it in our lives? And like I say, I'm intrigued by the idea that he is able to create a space that even a lot of his employees really enjoy. They have a new ride called, I don't even know what it's called, Star Wars ride. I can't quite remember what it's called. What is it called? The Resistance, I think, Rise of the Resistance or something like that. And it's really amazing if you haven't been in. It's the most elaborate ride they have now, and it's usually got an hour or longer wait. But I have to say, it's a fun ride to go on. It's like another world, and they have a lot of live characters in it too. So it's really quite magical, and uh, that's again part of that magic he creates. And so, that's where I was walking around in that Star Wars land where the lady told me she was on another planet. And so you just, it's immersive. You're stepping into another world. And they've really gone all out to create this magical world. And so, but it's still the same Earth right here, right? But people are seeing its magic. Those employees love working in those jobs. I've talked to them. So, what about you? Are you enjoying your job? Um, are you finding magic? Hey, Janet, how you doing? Hey, Ron, how you doing? I haven't talked to you for a while. It's funny, Ron. I was just thinking about you the other day. It's so interesting you would connect on there. Um, I should have you come on here again one of these days, Ron. Interview. You've got some good stories. Um, you know, so each one of us, my friends, we have this magic potential in ourselves. But are we going to ignite the magic? That's the question. What are you going to do to ignite that magic? How are you going to get to that magic and bring it into your life wherever you are? You see, for the employees at Disneyland, it's not really that different than most jobs, the things they're doing. And I've been to other amusement parks, by the way, over the years, as you probably have too. And I'm not mentioning any names, and I'm not going to, but the bottom line is a lot of times you go to other amusement parks and the employees don't have that magical feeling. I don't know what the difference is exactly, but it doesn't seem the same. And on the other hand, when you see the employees at Disneyland, they have that magical feeling. So somehow there's something spiritually that's called calling forth, but somehow Walt Disney called forth a new possibility. And that's a magical possibility built into the human consciousness. So I tell you, you and I right here in Las Vegas could call forth a possibility called City of Light. A city of light, a place where people come to and experience the magic and wonder of life itself. Magic and wonder of life itself. And, and in this city of light, try to imagine a place where people are especially polite, especially happy, especially pleasant to one another, and treat each other well. And a lot of people are already doing that. Oh, oh, Marie just said, I bring magic to Costco with my Expect a Miracle card. I do. I have fun with that. I really do. It's one of the fun things I do. I like to give out that Expect a Miracle card. For those of you, Maria is saying that. This is the card she's talking about. Let's see if you can see it. I give this card out. Whoops. Let's see if I can get with the right lighting on it. I give this card out whenever I feel guided to, and I just give it to people without any expectation back. And it's been a fun thing to be doing. I've been doing it for many years now, probably over 20 years. And I had a lady once tell me, uh, I was flying back to this country from another country. I don't even remember where I was. And we were on the plane, and this lady sat next to me, and we had a nice visit. And I gave her one of my Expect a Miracle cards, and then gave it to her, and I hadn't seen her. Listen to this. 10 years later, this is a couple of years ago now, I got a call from this lady, and she goes, you don't won't remember me, but I was coming to the United States for the first time. I was wondering, what are these people going to be like in the United States? I'm thinking to myself. So I gave her an Expect a Miracle card, not knowing that was her background, right? And she said, after you gave me that card, she said, thought these people aren't going to be so bad after all. And so she had that card and never got rid of it. 10 years later, she called me and told me that story. So you never know when you're making a difference. I'll just tell you one other Expect a Miracle story. These are ways I bring magic into my life, but you can bring it in every way that works for you by remembering to share love with the people around you, be who you are, speak positively, and open your heart to the magical and divine possibilities. But I was out to dinner in Chinatown here, and I saw this nice young couple sitting right next to us. I was walking by, I said, "Hey, you guys married?" And they said, "No, actually, it's our first date." So I gave them one of my Expect a Miracle cards like this, and then anyway, that was the end of that. And then 3 years later, they didn't know who I was or anything, but they did have that card. They were in an accident. Now I don't say anything about being an attorney on this card. Interestingly enough, I probably should, but I don't. And they looked us up online, but not because of the card. They just found us online and thought I looked like a good attorney. So they came in to see us, and actually were seeing my son initially, and there was an Expect a Miracle card on the desk. They said, "Hey, where'd you get that card?" He goes, "Well, that's my dad." They go, "Well, that guy saw us. That was our first date together." Well, listen to this. So they independently found us, and guess what? They got married, and by that time had a child. So I saw them the very first night, gave them a Expect a Miracle card. They got married, had a child, and then the family independently 3 years later, 3 or 4 years later. So you just never know when you're going to make a difference to people, and that's how you bring magic into your life. People need love, and if you become an instrumentality of love, you're going to be happier than you ever imagined, and you'll also happiness and success will come to you also. If you let love come through your heart and you become a living instrumentality of divine grace. How do you do that? You just basically say yes. Yes, I'm an instrument. I'm willing to be, and start sharing that love wherever you go. And then if you and I do that, then we can begin to create a city of light here in Las Vegas where we, are seeing each other in love and grace. We're polite to one another, and they can become a contagion of positivity, a virtuous cycle. How about that idea? A virtuous cycle of joy. Doesn't that sound like a good idea? Why not? It's like, why why not reach for a high possibility? Why let the lowest common denominator determine what happens? Why not open ourselves to the highest possibilities? Why not become an emissary of love and light? Why not share love and grace with people? Because you can do that. And when you do, you make a difference. You don't need to have a card that says that. You could just simply be pleasant and nice to people. Share love, share grace, share healing. Um, oops. So, my friends, I am totally committed. Oh, hey, there's Rick Frischman. Why, I haven't seen you. I've seen people I haven't seen for a long time on here. Rick, um, Rick does a great program called Author 101 or Author University. Gosh, I don't remember the exact name. You can type it in there if you want. But he teaches people how to become authors, and anyway, I've gone to his seminars. In fact, that's where I met Craig Duswalt, who is on here tonight. And so, networking is a great way to expand the magic of your life. By the way, Rick does that. Craig does that. Ron Garrett does that. Lots of people on here listening on Facebook tonight do that, and that makes our lives magical and much better than we could ever dream of. Because we have to say yes to the opportunities of life, and then because we human beings, this is how you and I are going to be happier people, in my opinion. We have this great love in our hearts. I know you do, Craig. And did you see Rick Frischman's on? He just put a post on right above you on here. Um, you know, what I was going to say is that we all have this magic in us. And when we reach out at the bubble that surrounds us and break through that insulation and that uh, aloneness that we might feel and reach to another human being, you're breaking the bubble for them too, and you're giving them love and giving them a chance to express love. Craig says, "Is this a famous Rick Frischman?" Well, I think it's the same one because I don't know any others. But so each of us, my friends, has this potential to bring magic into people's lives. Share love, share grace, share healing. Um, that's let's not miss the opportunity. This is our chance. This is our excursion trip to planet Earth. And let's not leave anything on the table. Let's not leave anything on the table. Let's go for the full gusto, right? The full gusto. Let all the love out of your heart and soul that you can. As much love as you can. Treat people as kindly as you can. Occasionally people are going to need that. Maybe some people got problems. And sometimes they're not going to always be as loving to you as you might like, but if you can be loving in response, then guess what? They will tend to move up to it. Yeah, see Craig saying author 101. Exactly. I love that. It was a lot of fun. All part of things that have contributed to my success. Some of the people who are on here tonight. So those of you that are listening right now, I want to invite you to open your heart tonight to magic and wonder. This is the holiday season, right? We're one week away from Christmas. Open yourself to magic and wonder and joy and love. And dare to trust that something wonderful is happening right now in your world. And I'm going to keep repeating it. Las Vegas, the city of light. I used to say that. I haven't said it for a while. I'm going to start saying it again. And anywhere you are, in any city you happen to be living in, whoever you're listening, wherever you're hearing this, you can bring that wherever you are. Turn your life into an adventure of romance and love and joy and happiness and healing. If you do that, your life's going to start to be incredible. You'll start to be the happiest person in the world. Hey, Dinah, great to see you. My friends, we're going to go to a break, but stay with me on Facebook. You're listening to The Gateway Show on every Sunday night from 6 to 7 p.m. live in the number one talk station. When I get back, we're going to have Reverend Ernie and Reverend Janet with us. So stay tuned. I'll be back in just a moment. So those of you that are friends that are listening, whether you're listening now or you're listening at some point in the future, I send you love and grace and gratitude that you're sharing this journey, this magical journey called life. I gave my niece a ride home from the airport today, and I was telling her, I said, you know what? This is a real world, and in this real world, there's real love, which is life would be no good if love wasn't real. If you if you were forced to love people, there was no love. If you're forced to love God, there's no love. But if you learn to reach out to by the way, even forget about religion for a minute. If you just reach out in love to another human being, you're honoring God and this life creation. If you reach out in love and grace and healing to people around you, you're serving God. Whether you call it God, whether you're not, you're helping life. So if you guys let love pour through your heart and soul, the more love you pour through you, guess what? The more you have. Love is inexhaustible. That's the magic and wonder of it. It is the most magical, unlimited force in existence. My dad always used to say to me, love is, and my mom too actually, love is the most powerful force in the world and least understood. And both my parents were very, very loving people, and they've made such a huge difference in my life. And that's why I'm sharing this love with each of you. And just to tell you, life can get better. My dad was like 97 years old. And I said to him, Dad, would you like to be younger again? Maybe 90 again or 85? He goes, no, Bob. He goes, you know what? He goes, I really am enjoying this part of my life. It's sort of slow and magical. It's a good time for me. I thought, well, that's pretty encouraging. At 97, that's what my dad could say about life. And he wasn't craving to be young again. He was loving his life as it was. And I'll tell you one other funny thing about that. A week before he died, he told Janet, he said multiple things. I'm going to stick to the simple one right now. He told Janet, who's on here, who helped take care of him the last few years of his life, that he didn't know if he wanted to die because he was getting ready to. We knew he was not going to be around too long at that point, and he said he didn't know if he really wanted to go because he was having too much fun. Well, isn't that what you want to feel in your life? You've had a journey that you've had too much fun. You don't want to give it up. That's the story of living a good life. So I want to challenge each one of you, wherever you are, live a life that you don't want it to end. It's so good. And yet my dad was also peace leaving too, because he'd lived a rich life. He was 99 and a half. And so, it was his time. And he knew that. He and I talked about it. But at the same time, he still was enjoying it and didn't want to give it up. That's what you and I want to be like, wherever we're at in our lives. All right, hold on a second. Let's see if I gotta see if I can get Ernie going on here. Or Janet too. Okay, there they are, both of them.
Let's see.
All right, you're both there.
Yep.
I'm here.
All
I'm here,
right.
Robert.
I can hear you. And you, Janet, too. Good
Good.
evening, my friends. This is Robert Sidell. You're listening to the Gateway Show on every Sunday night from 6 to 7 p.m. and live on the number one talk station in Las Vegas and simulcasting on Facebook. And I've got Reverend Janet here, the famous Janet, who I talked about. Didn't my dad say that to you a week before he died? He didn't know if he wanted to go yet. What did he say again?
Yeah, he said he didn't want to leave.
Right, because he was having too much fun, right?
He was having too much fun, yeah.
That's just because he was having so much fun with you, Janet.
Yep, that's what he said.
I know. And okay, I know it's true. No, I mean, you two had a very fun relationship. I know you used to read him poetry and things like that. He got very lucky to have you be with him the last few years of his life. It was a real nice blessing to his life. And he told me that, by the way, more than once. Well, Reverend Ernie, how are you doing tonight?
Wonderful, Robert. Wonderful. Thank you.
So, all right, Ernie, do you have a prayer you have to share with us? Want to share with us?
Uh-huh. Yes. Thank you, Robert. The topic of the prayer is it's time for a new day, a new possibility. Dear Lord, thank you for giving us this blessed day. We pray for each one of us to open ourselves to a new day, a new possibility for ways and means that is miraculous and transformational living. The good that is love, joy, compassion, and prosperous. Guide us to share and serve those God given attributes of possibilities to those that need our support unconditionally. Lord, assist us to be in awareness and recognition by listening to our inner voice possibility answers, to witness God's miracles and transformations in all walks of our lives. Through faith, we are healed. We pray that we spread out testimonies of our possibilities and transformations of our everyday living with our loved ones, communities, and around the world, creating heaven on earth. And so it is. Amen.
Ernie, I just listened to it's almost like poetry. I started to say your poetry. It's prayer poetry. It's very nice. It's kind of like you just
Thank
made
you.
me think. The Bible's got the Psalms in it. Yours are kind of like the Psalms. It's a
Um,
Psalm by Ernie.
Thanks.
David. Yeah, that's a good one. I
Thank you.
like that. You should have a book, Psalms by Ernie.
Yeah.
the book of Ernie. I
Yeah.
like that. All right,
Thanks.
Janet, what do you have to share with us tonight?
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to share a quick story because I had something happen this before I got home. I had a wedding at Mandalay Bay, but I decided when I was walking through, because I always park at the Luxor and walk through the shops and
Right.
go that way to Mandalay Bay. And I was passing the Irish pub and I said to myself, the last time I was in there a few weeks ago, well, I didn't have time that day, but the next time I'm here, if I don't have any more weddings, I'm going there to eat. So today I went in there to eat. So towards the end of my meal, I discovered two things while I was there, but the waitress had said to me something about what I did. What do you do? And I told her, and it turns out she's getting married in 40 days.
Uh-huh.
But she already had an officiant. Her fiance's friend is an officiant, not here, but he's licensed here. But so I had just done the wedding, so I had my things with me. So I found out his name, her fiance's name, and I filled out my little envelope with my message that's in there because I give everybody a $2 bill.
Right.
So I put the $2 bill and said, "This message is for you and Isaac, her fiance." And I said it to her, and she started to cry. And but that's God's love, me extending God's love to someone else that I had just met.
Yeah, Janet, what a beautiful, that's a perfect illustration of what I'm talking about. Every one of us has some ability. I know you do it, Ernie, when you're teaching school. You share a lot of love with the students. And
Right.
it doesn't really matter what we're doing. We can do loving things. And Janet, if we just all we want to do is take, and I believe me, there's already a ton of people in Vegas that are doing all sorts of loving things like this, and other places too. But I'm open to the idea of raising that number, so more and more people are reaching out in love and sharing love. Dinah says that's lovely, Janet, and it is lovely. Um, and I'm sure you made a huge difference to her. She'll be
Oh,
telling,
she told me it made her day that I came in there today.
you know what, Janet? She'll tell people now. Hopefully, she'll let marriage last a long time, and she'll say, you know what? There was this girl that came to me, and she told me this story, and there's a sign from God that we're supposed to be married, or something like that. And she'll have that story for the rest of her life. And it'll always be there with her, because you took the effort, just a small amount of effort, to reach out and share something loving.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So,
go ahead.
yeah, no, go ahead. Say what
No,
you're
no,
going to say. Then I
no,
was
no.
going
I'm
to
sorry.
read what I'm going to read
Oh
for
yeah, read it. Go ahead and read it.
because
Something.
it's a perfect thing. It's just perfect for this week and every day, really. I think I've probably read it before. It's lesson 264 from A Course in Miracles. I am surrounded by the love of God. Father, you stand before me and beside me, in the place I see myself and everywhere I go. You are in all the things I look upon, the sounds I hear, and every hand that reaches for my own. In you, time disappears and place becomes meaningless belief. For what surrounds your son and keeps him safe is love itself. There is no source but this, and nothing is that does not share its holiness. That stands beyond your one creation, or without the love which holds all things within itself. Father, your Son is like yourself. We come to you in your own name today to be at peace within your everlasting love. So the lesson is, I'll read again. I am surrounded by the love of God.
There you go, Janet. That's a beautiful reading. And isn't that the real? See, that's it. The love is there, but it needs us to share it, right? That's where we become the instrumentalities of God's grace, and it needs us to share it. And whoever you are listening to this now or in the future, remember you play a critical role. And you may not think, well, go. It's Christmas week. Watch It's a Wonderful Life if you haven't for a while. I happened to watch it again 2 days ago. And the one thing that Harry realized about his life, I think that's his name, he realized that he didn't realize all the people he was impacting. That was the message of that. If you haven't watched it for a while, and it turned out they give him a chance to show his life. I'm out of time. But anyway, go watch it. It's a Wonderful Life. So we're at the end of our show, and you make a difference, Janet. So do you, Ernie. So does every one of you listening. I send you love. Let's go out and ignite this town in love. Turn this into a true city of light. God bless you all. Until next week, this is Robert Sidell. Talk to you soon.
Bye. Have a beautiful week.
Yeah, same to you.
Bye.
Bye bye. See you both.
Bye.